have long taken great interest in their appearance and style. Clothing can reveal social status, climate conditions, political views, and certainly personal tastes. Fashion as an industry is a $1 trillion business that is neither a stranger to innovation nor controversy. Today on Shak, we have Jin Forde, founder and head designer of J. Angelique Clothing and co-owner of Vita Barbados and VXC Cropover Band. Jin has a BSc in sociology and MSc in development statistics and has been empowering women through fashion for the past 8 years. She pioneered the concept of a Carnival Monday wear collection, and as the premier fetwear designer, her designs dominate the social media landscape anytime and anywhere there is Carnival. Welcome, Jin, and thanks for joining me today.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here.
So I guess what I'm really curious about to start is, how degrees in sociology and development statistics lead to a career in fashion and design.
Well, of course, I could never answer that like in the beginning because fashion was the fashion as a career path only kind of forged itself in university.
Mm-hmm.
So after I would have been accepted for sociology, a friend literally just said, maybe you should do a little fashion show. They had a fashion show at UE, St. Augustine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And they said, you should probably enter. So my mom and I, we just kind of, sew up some stuff. And from there, I was the fashion girl. And of course, finished school, decided to do a master's. And as much as it seems like it's unrelated, and of course, I didn't plan it that way to do sociology, then to be a fashion designer.
Uh-huh.
As much as it seems as it's not related, it's very much related because, for example, as much as it's fashion design, it's running a business, and
Mm-hmm.
to be very measured, to be very statistical, to base whatever you do on research. That is something I could say I learned from school, and it is very it is very critical in the way I actually run my business. So it may not be, a direct line, but it's
Yeah.
definitely related in how I, my processes and how I think about stuff in a holistic manner, my collaborations, stuff like that. It all makes sense, and I could always relate it back to my degrees.
Yeah, well, that makes sense to me. And I mean, clearly, as you mentioned, there are some skills that are definitely transferable.
Yes.
Yeah. So what is the biggest lesson that you think you've learned since you started 8 years ago?
Since I've started, my biggest thing is to be authentic. I think I have managed to just do what I want to do, and have been fortunate enough. I have crafted a formula so that people could just like and buy what I do. But I think when people, and now is even more noticeable, say social media,
Yeah.
there's a lot of fakeness. There's a lot of people trying, but when you are authentic, um, that sells. And for me, a big part of what I do is being authentic in my designs as well. My biggest thing is to create something that somebody has never seen,
Yes.
or so that so that you can't Google and say, okay, yes, you get that stuff from that.
Mm-hmm.
So my biggest thing is to be authentic in how you portray yourself, and for me, my work as well, to be authentic. So that is my biggest lesson.
Okay. So I imagine 2020 was also a year filled with lessons. We saw a number of carnivals being canceled. I'm just curious how it's been for you.
I mean, it has been from a very, what I won't say is too much of a young age. My friends and I, my close circle, just have a thing where we are generally positive people. And only when a year like 2020 hits, you'll kind of realize how much your friends, um, how your friends kind of determine the way you act and the way you relate to things. So for me, I mean, my business, yes, to some extent, has been built on Carnival. And everything just kind of pulled from in front of you. What do? You can't sit and cry over spilled milk.
Fair
So
enough.
you have to kind of be innovative. I'm always a big proponent of being innovative, thinking forward. What can you do? Okay, if it's not Carnival, what else could you do in its place? And fortunately for me, I'm an actual designer, so I could design anything. And
Okay.
how from my brand, I always say is a lifestyle brand. So I not only design costumes, I do lifestyle wear, I do Carnival inspired garments as well. So it's not just one thing. I do career wear. So all of those things kind of came into play when there was kind of like the dry season.
Yeah.
And another big thing for me was just staying positive
Okay.
because and I am a very panicky person. So for me to
Well, this had to
say
be
that
2020
is
had to be a hard year then for sure.
yes, but no, you know why it wasn't so. I mean, it was terrible because we all have bills to pay, right? But I said to myself, Janelle, you are going to be positive. And I learned because I used to love doing yoga. So you have
Okay.
to say things out loud. And I just told myself, you know what, Janelle, you have to be positive. And besides all of the negative things that would happen, people lost jobs and stuff like that, I enjoyed the peace. I took it as an opportunity to rest, opportunity to work on my business, came up with new concepts, and I just took it for what it was. So it was challenging, yes, but because I professed it out loud and I was just like, you're going to be positive, I think it actually worked.
Okay. Well, that's good. So what would you say? I mean, you talked about authenticity, but what would you say is your general fashion philosophy? You know, your views on fashion in general.
What are my views in fashion? My views, I mean, as cliche as it may be, there are no rules.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, you literally do what you want, and I always say you put a big enough bow on it, and people like it. But again, it's about people are people, and when somebody could relate to you, and they could buy into your story, it is very easy and it's easiest to be yourself. So as much as people will say, oh my gosh, how she come up with that, who buying that, stuff like that, and it may not be for you, it could just be for somebody else.
That's true.
So my I guess my real thing is there are no rules.
Yeah.
uh, do what you want, but you can't be selfish in that. Do what you want and no can't care for anybody else. You still have to have an idea of people's taste, if they would buy it. If you could afford to make all your pieces and have nobody buy them, that's fine. But it's all about what you want in the end.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's basically my philosophy.
Fair enough. The other thing that I think about is Caribbean fashion. You know, how would you describe Caribbean fashion, or is there such a thing as Caribbean fashion, so to speak?
I definitely think there is, because the Caribbean experience is, we see it in the way we dress. Like we would wear color all through the year. We don't care if it's January, we don't care if it's August. We could wear florals, we could wear colors, we could wear white after Labor Day, all of those rules that the Western world has come up with and try to just put on everybody. We could do those things. So when we essentially design, it's just kind of part of our experience, because when I first got into fashion in Trinidad, um, I would see all of the older fashion designers. Everybody's dress is long, white, and flowy with a big barracuda on the side, and we're like, oh my god! Like I understand it's the Caribbean, but we also go to work and we're not wearing that to work. So it's like, what? it- Although yes, you want to associate this island life with Caribbean, it's not only that. But
Mm-hmm.
I think that um the Caribbean aesthetic is, once it's functional for what we do here, I think that's Caribbean fashion. And it is still distinctive because people try to sell Caribbean fashion and they have never stepped foot in the Caribbean.
Well,
So definitely is distinct. It may not always resonate as a big floral dress, or everything
Yeah.
island wide, but it is from our Caribbean experience, the way we speak, the way we act, what we do with our clothing, where we wear certain types of clothing as well. So I definitely think there is this Caribbean aesthetic.
Okay, good. Are there any aspects of the industry that you would like to change, particularly in the region?
Mhm. I think because I shop as well, and because I am a consumer as well, I
Yes.
try to put myself in the consumer's position when I run my business. I've always, for example, like I've always had a website, but it did not have like shopping features. Like I would just try to make it as straightforward as possible for somebody coming in to purchase stuff. But say after Corona, when I sat and I built my own website, I
Yeah.
do everything online. Like I'm not interested in leaving home to do anything. So it's
I,
like I would like to for people to enhance the experience. I mean, I'm fine being ahead and everybody complaining about everybody else. I'm fine with that. But I think that, there's such things that could be solved, problems could be solved. Um Easy problems to be solved. So I think that you have to be open to change, you have to be open to innovation.
yeah.
And it's just like my team and I, we always say we are not in the business of complaining. We are problem solvers. We're actively trying to solve problems. And that is kind of how we, push
Mhm.
forward. So like we won't sit and complain, we'll just solve the problem.
Okay.
So and I always would wish that people will kind of do the same.
Fair enough. Fair enough. So,
Mhm,
I mean, when we think about the fashion industry, we think sometimes that it kind of reinforces a certain beauty ideal, which, tends to be a bit one note, thin, young,
mhm,
white, whitish.
mhm, mhm.
Do you think there's enough being done to increase diverse bodies in this space?
I always think it's about self. When I was going through a photographer's Instagram, and he put up a poll. You know, do you think there is enough, I guess, exposure to like different skin types and body types or whatever? And the common thread on his people that follow him was just saying, it's always the light skin, curly hair, or is this, is that. And I'm just like, why don't I have that experience? Because I have curated who I followed, who I follow, like say on Instagram, to
Mm-hmm.
when it shows me such a range of people. I can't say it's like the light skin. No doubt we know that definitely that's a problem. But what I'm trying to say is sometimes you have to create your reality and let it be a reality. You would see a lot on Instagram based on what you follow.
Yeah.
If you follow a lot of those people, the same people you complain about, that's what you would see. If you curate your following, your page, everybody knows about the algorithm
Yes.
to see black beauty. The majority of the people that would come up for my thing are of African descent. So to me, it's like different things you could start changing your mind towards. And again, it's about your experience.
Mm-hmm.
Trinidad is a multiracial society where there are people of East Indian descent, people of African descent. And I will always represent both in my work,
Mm-hmm.
whether or not all skin types, all sizes. I know I get criticized sometimes about the body type, but everybody would know when we do carnivals, our cuts are most flattering. We cater for all sizes. When I in my photography is not just an A cup, is also DC cup. I have
Mm-hmm.
clients all sizes, all colors. So it's just like people have to start curating their realities, and you will see the difference. Because
Okay.
as much as they were complaining about, okay, yes, they have this bias towards this and bias towards that, you could easily change that by clicking on the black girl with the natural hair, and then letting your Instagram tabulate and push other people that look like you, to you. So it is true, yes, but I think there are ways to kind of initiate change.
Okay. As you talked a lot about fashion being innovative, and it's not only innovative, but it helps us kind of mark time. So what do you think the future of fashion looks like? We have things like sustainable materials,
Mhm.
upcycling, gender neutral clothing. So I'm just gonna
Yeah.
pick your brain a bit to see what you
Mhm.
think, not only
Future.
for you, but maybe
Yeah,
what
yeah.
future fashion looks like in general.
I think the future now is about collaboration, about mixing different styles, aesthetics, different industries in order to kind of revolutionize fashion. So I think that I mean I can't really give like full examples, but for example, maybe we will start wearing metal skirts, for example, that could be trending. You
Hmm.
know what I mean? So I think it will just be about collaboration and kind of just mixing industries to create something that is new.
Okay.
Mhm.
In all the changes in the industry demands, how would you say you manage being unique, having commercial appeal, and kind of maintaining your creative drive, your creativity?
Well, we always say be flexible. If everybody's going down the road, just know Jin Forde going up the hill. If everybody's going left, Jin Forde is going right. So you always have to be kind of m- moving with the crowd, yes, but still doing something different. So if everybody's saying, is it a double-edged sword? The example I was about to give would kind of refute what I was about to say, but it's like if something is trending, no longer trending, just know tomorrow we could find what is new. You
Mhm.
can't be stuck in your ways, and you can't just say, we are custom sewing swimsuits, so we can just sew swimsuits so we dead. Maybe you should try to do something different. So my thing is, you have to kind of always be flexible and willing to change. I hope that answered the question. Sometimes it's
Yeah.
hard, like
No, I mean, I agree. I get it. Like, you have to take a bit of risk,
yes, definitely.
but, but still have to find a way to be appealing to, your customers.
And of course, and this is where schooling comes back into play. When you could, you always hear about reading the room. Sometimes at some people always complain, like I could do all the math in my head. Sometimes I could do all of the like questionnaires, so I would know what to ask my clients, and then I make a mental note, and then I make decisions the next week based on all the research I would have done within a week, all the conversations I would had. So it's like kind of you still have to be aware of your environment and still let that contribute to the decisions you make. Again, if you could afford to make things and nobody buy it, fine with you. But if you still want to service a crowd, you still have to kind of know what they would like and predict their predict their wants. And if
Yeah.
you can't predict it, create a want
Mm.
or create a need. Yeah.
Fair enough. Fair enough. And in terms of your creativity, what would you say is the source of that creativity, that creative drive?
I think it has a lot to do with growing up in Barbados, because I always say we have always been very, very fashionable, very into, I mean,
I agree.
and yeah, we're always into fashion, always into looks. Like we all know in Trinidad, like school pageants aren't such a big thing. In Barbados, it is. So it's
Yes.
like we always had like a beauty culture, a glam culture, and I think that always piqued my interest. Of course, reading magazines, and it was always interesting for me. I mean, if you go back into my history, my grandmother, um she was like a top seamstress from my mom's side. From my dad's side, both of them were seamstresses and tailors. So I don't know if that kind of, you
Ah.
know, trickled down a little
Oh,
bit.
so you have that
Uh,
innate creativity. Born with it.
exactly, exactly. So that also helps. But I think just growing up amongst fashion and being aware of what you want to wear, choosing your clothes, and in Barbados it was like a full fashion competition always. When you're going out, what you're wearing, you're just always interested in it. And then I did courses. I kind of like honed my skills to kind of know, okay, yes, I'm interested in this, but how can I now turn around and do something that's unique and creative and run a fashion business?
Hmm. Okay. That all sounds like a lot, and but I do know you are also branching out into interior design and a home collection. So maybe you could tell me a bit about that too.
I always say J. Angelique is a lifestyle brand, and whatever I am going through, it would always come through in my work, and I just have this interest in interior design. Of course, it all stems from fashion as well, and over the Corona holidays, as I could call it, I started doing a diploma in interior design, and believe it or not, a lot of things that you just generally know, they just have a name for it, and they just have like, okay, you do this because I always believe in kind of learning the theory behind it. And of course, like my family as well, and my from my mom's side, like my aunts, they are always into house and always into to decorating and changing this up and stuff like that. So again, it's kind of innate and what I was always doing. And I just decided that I wanted to dictate like what for new homeowners and for women who are now kind of designing their own homes, to give them fashionable options, but fashionable and also Caribbean created options, because I am guilty of it too. A lot of things you just bring in. You
Yes.
see something, you just bring it in. But where are the Caribbean home designers? And that's the direction I'm going into. And when you look around too, everybody now is into home.
Yeah.
But of course, I won't sell out all my secrets. Of course, I will surpass them, just because I'm always thinking of what makes J. Angelique better and what could make Mango Sugar better. So I will be, going full speed ahead into to home.
Okay. So we can expect to see some new things from you in that direction.
Definitely, definitely, yes.
Okay, so when all is said and done, how would you like to be remembered? Is there somewhere or someone you would like to see with your design?
Um, I I am always kind of bent on answering those questions because, for example, when people answer about seeing a celebrity or somebody like that in their designs, it to me it kind of disrespects like your clientele. Now I
Mm-hmm.
have clients that are doctors, lawyers, business owners, like they work so hard. And for them to choose my clothing out of all the options that they could, that is what makes me proud. So for me, I don't aspire to have any celebrity. If you see the need to buy my clothing, I'm good with that. But to me, I who I want to buy my clothing, and that's the person not buying it currently.
Okay.
So I just would. My aim is to kind of reach more of those people, those modern Caribbean women, or who could identify with something that's different, something that is made from the Caribbean and that is out of the box, something that you can't see before, you never seen before, something that's full of value. And divas always tell me it too. You will be when you wear my item, you will be the best dressed.
Ah,
So
very
that is
good.
what I just aim for all the time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Lastly, what would you say is the one piece of clothing every woman should have in her wardrobe? And I guess while we're at it, every man should have in his
Every
wardrobe.
man. Every woman should have, well, my signature gowns are like the draped Grecian inspired dresses. So I think that is number one thing that you must have in your wardrobe. And everybody knows it's very functional. You can style it different ways, and it never gets tight just because of the technique I use. So I
Mm,
think that is just the number one thing you must have. You must have at least one of my wrap dress. I just refer to them as my signature wrap dresses.
okay.
And for a man, mm, what would I say a man should have in his closet, boy? That one thing. What should he have? I don't even know. Like, what do I like to see? I just like to see like just sleek items. Although yes, I'm a full of frou frou and I like drama and stuff like that. I'm still, I everybody knows it goes to a point and it can stop abruptly because it's just like there's a fine line between. So like for a man, I would just maybe like I don't know how to say, like just a sleek, even if it's a blazer, if it's a shirt is just sleek fitted, but I can't really say like
Well,
what it should.
I suppose we just want them to be well dressed, to wear something that fits them well.
Yes, I think yes, I and that's the thing. I think with men, I think is more the cut and the tailoring because
Yes.
men their options are very limited. So it's like I think it's more emphasis on the cut of it
Mm-hmm.
rather than the item. Because I'm fine if a man wears the same thing over and over in a different color and
True.
wants it very well.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. So, thank you so much for being here. It was fun. It was interesting. I have to say, you really do create beautiful pieces. And I look forward to seeing more of your work. And clearly, I know I have to get one of these dresses for my wardrobe.
Yes. It's a must have.
So, I encourage everyone listening to definitely check out your stuff. It really is beautiful. So, thanks again for joining me today.
Thank you. It was so I felt like I learned so much more about myself.
Well, that's how it should be. I'm glad.
Yes. No, it was a pleasure.
Thanks for listening. Don't forget to join us every other Wednesday for another episode of Shak. Subscribe to our podcast using your favorite podcast platform. We are on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and many more. You can also connect with us on IG, Facebook, and Twitter, or by email at akilia@shakshak.club. Let's shake things up.